You've cleaned your kitchen with them. You've sprayed them on your skin to stop the bugs biting. You've sealed your leftovers in their bags. And you had no idea one single family in a small Wisconsin city made all of it. This is the story of the richest dynasty in the state. Their fortune is estimated at over $30 billion. They have run their empire for 5 generations without ever going public. And their name is stamped on nearly every household product in America. They are the Johnson family of Racine, Wisconsin. And this is how they built it. It begins in 1886. A parquet flooring salesman named Samuel Curtis Johnson buys the flooring division of the company he works for. He pays just over $5,000. He has no idea he is about to stumble into a fortune. The floors were only the beginning. Customers kept asking Samuel how to care for the wood he sold them. So he mixed up a paste wax to protect their floors. Almost overnight, the wax outsold the flooring itself. Johnson realized the real business wasn't the wood. It was what you put on top of it. In 1888, Johnson's prepared paste wax hit the market. The company took a bold new name, S.C. Johnson & Son. That word "and son" was a promise. This would be a family business forever. More than 135 years later, that promise still holds. The son was Herbert Fisk Johnson Sr. He took the reins in 1919 and thought bigger than anyone before him. He expanded into overseas markets and chased Brazilian palm forests for Carnauba wax, the key ingredient. He turned a regional wax maker into an international powerhouse. In 1935, Herbert took an expedition to Brazil to secure the family's Carnauba supply. On the trip, he had a revelation about sustainability decades ahead of his time. He came home determined to build a headquarters unlike anything the world had seen. For that, he hired the most famous architect in America. The architect was Frank Lloyd Wright. Between 1936 and 1939, Wright designed the S.C. Johnson Administration Building in Racine. Inside stand the famous dendriform columns, slender tree-shaped pillars that critics swore would collapse. Wright proved them wrong in a public test. The building became one of the most celebrated workspaces on Earth. Wright wasn't done. In 1950, he added the Research Tower, a 15-story glass and brick shaft with floors hanging from a central core like branches from a trunk. And he designed Wingspread, the sprawling Johnson family home, the last and largest of his prairie-style houses. The family literally lived and worked inside architectural legend. While the buildings rose, so did the product line. In laboratories inside that tower, the company invented one blockbuster after another. Raid, the insecticide, launched in 1956. Then came Off, Pledge, Glade, and later Windex, Shout, Scrubbing Bubbles, and Ziploc. The Johnsons quietly conquered the shelves of every American home. The fortune passed to the third generation, Herbert Fisk Johnson Jr., known as Hib. He led the company through the post-war boom, but it was under the next Johnson that the empire would nearly split apart. His name was Samuel Curtis Johnson Jr., and he was the most ambitious of them all. Samuel Curtis Johnson Jr., called Sam, took over in 1966. He was a scientist by training and a builder by nature. Under him, the company's revenues exploded into the billions. He also made a decision that would reshape the entire dynasty. He split the empire into pieces. Sam spun off separate companies for different family branches. There was S.C. Johnson & Son, the consumer goods giant. There was Johnson Outdoors, maker of Old Town canoes, and Scuba Pro diving gear. There was Johnson Financial Group, a banking arm, and there was Johnson Controls, the industrial titan already trading on the stock market. Johnson Controls alone became a colossus, making batteries, building systems, and car interiors, employing over 100,000 people worldwide. Though the family's direct stake shrank over the decades, the Johnson name was now attached to a global industrial empire and a consumer goods empire at the same time. Few American families have ever controlled so much. Sam married Imogene Powers, and together they had 4 children. Those 4 heirs would become the 5th generation. Their names, Kurt, Helen, Fisk, and Winnie. Sam expected them to carry the empire forward together. Instead, money would test the bonds of blood. By the 2000s, the crown of S.C. Johnson passed to Herbert Fisk Johnson III, known simply as Fisk. He holds a Ph.D. in physics and an MBA. He became chairman and CEO of the company his great-great-grandfather founded. Today, he is the face of the dynasty and one of the richest men in the Midwest. Under Fisk Johnson, SC Johnson generates an estimated $11 billion in annual sales. It sells products in virtually every country on Earth. It employs tens of thousands of people, and it remains entirely private, owned and controlled by the family. No shareholders, no outside board, just Johnsons. Fisk's sister, Helen Johnson Leipold, runs Johnson Outdoors as its chairman and CEO. That company, publicly traded, makes camping, diving, and watercraft gear sold worldwide. She is a powerhouse in her own right and one of the most influential women in American business. The siblings each command a slice of the family fortune. But behind the polished corporate image lies a darker chapter. When the patriarch Sam Johnson died in 2004, he left billions behind, and he did not divide it equally. That single decision would ignite a feud that spilled into courtrooms and headlines. The Johnson dynasty was about to fracture in public. Sam had reportedly favored certain children in the distribution of company stock and assets. Family members clashed over control and inheritance. Lawsuits followed. What had been a united front for over a century now aired its grievances before judges. The word "and son" suddenly carried a bitter edge. Then came the scandal that shocked Racine. In 2011, Samuel Curtis Johnson III, a great-great-grandson of the founder, was charged in a disturbing case involving the sexual assault of his teenage stepdaughter. In 2013, he pleaded guilty and was sentenced to prison. The proud family name was dragged through the mud. The case revealed the private world of extreme wealth colliding with justice. Critics argued the family's fortune and influence loomed over the proceedings. Whatever the truth, the scandal proved that even a dynasty worth tens of billions could not shield itself from disgrace. The Johnsons learned that money buys almost everything, but not immunity. There were tax troubles too. Members of the family faced scrutiny over offshore accounts and unpaid taxes tied to their vast fortunes. When your wealth spans continents, so do your legal complications. These were the growing pains of managing one of America's largest private fortunes across a sprawling and sometimes divided family. Yet through the turmoil, the empire never stopped growing. Fisk Johnson expanded aggressively, acquiring brands like Method and eCover and pushing the company into sustainability. He pledged to remove harmful chemicals and reduce plastic waste. The great-great-grandson positioned the family firm as a green pioneer. The old wax company had reinvented itself again. The family's real estate holdings are staggering. There is Wingspread, the Frank Lloyd Wright estate, now a conference center. There is the sprawling corporate campus in Racine. And there are private properties, foundations, and land holdings across Wisconsin and beyond. The Johnsons don't just live in Racine. In many ways, they built it. The family has poured fortunes back into the city. They funded Golden Rondell Theater, a striking dome originally built for the New York World's Fair. They backed parks, schools, and cultural centers. Racine's identity is intertwined with the Johnson name. Take away the family and the city itself would be unrecognizable. So how much is this dynasty actually worth today? Estimates place the extended Johnson family fortune at over $30 billion. Fisk Johnson alone is estimated to be worth several billion. But because the companies are private, the true number is a closely guarded secret. Their real wealth may be far greater than anyone knows. That wealth buys a lifestyle most Americans never glimpse. Private aircraft, sprawling lakefront estates, art collections, and philanthropic foundations bearing the family name. Yet the Johnsons have long cultivated an image of Midwestern modesty. They are billionaires who present themselves as humble stewards of a family business. The contrast is deliberate. The philanthropy is real and enormous. The family and its foundations have given hundreds of millions to education, conservation, and the arts. Cornell University's Johnson Graduate School of Management carries the family name after major gifts. From Racine to the Ivy League, the Johnson name is etched in stone across America. But every dynasty faces the same question. Who comes next? Fisk Johnson has no publicly known children set to inherit leadership. His siblings' children represent a scattered sixth generation. The pressure to keep the empire in family hands has never been greater. For 135 years, the promise held. Will it survive one more? Some analysts wonder whether the consumer goods giant will ever be sold or taken public. Competitors like Procter & Gamble and Unilever dwarf it in size. Staying private is both the family's greatest pride and its biggest risk. If the sixth generation loses interest, the entire empire could change hands forever. For now, the family holds firm. Fisk Johnson still walks the halls of that Frank Lloyd Wright headquarters, the same building his great-grandfather commissioned. The wax that started it all still exists in the company's DNA. The four-company empire still bears the family name. The dynasty endures for now. Think about it the next time you spray Windex on a window or zip a sandwich into a bag. That everyday product connects you to one Wisconsin family's 135-year rise. From a $5,000 flooring deal to a $30 billion empire, from paste wax to a global dynasty, all from a small city on Lake Michigan, the Johnsons prove that the quietest fortunes are often the largest. No flashy headlines, no public stock ticker. Just steady control, generation after generation, over the products in your home. They truly are the family that owns Wisconsin, and you probably never even noticed. If this story surprised you, imagine how many more hidden dynasties are out there, quietly controlling the things you use every single day. Subscribe now and hit the bell, because next we're uncovering the secret families behind the brands you thought you knew. The empire never sleeps, and neither do we.